What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. We are talking about the WWE Saturday Night's Main Event 42 show that is coming up this Saturday, aka the final match of John Cena. And of course, we got some other matches to break down too, but as per usual, I am your host as always, Tony Mango, joined as always by Callum Wiggins.
Hello.
And Robert E. Felice.
John Cena's time has come and gone, and so has my fandom for this company. Let's talk about it.
What do you want to talk about? There you go. Of course, we always want to know what you have to say too, so drop your thoughts in the comments section below or wherever it is that you are listening to us, because there are multiple different ways for you to chime in and give us your opinions about things or reflect our opinions and what we say, pro or con. Keep in mind too that we've got our Discord server that you could always chat it up on. And just join that link that you could see up on your screen or with the sidebar of smarkoutmoment.com for that. Also, keep in mind the thing that's now underneath that on Smark Out Moment, the ad as a preferred source on Google. If you want to help boost Smark Out Moment, click on that, and that'll give you like a little priority for Smark Out Moment going forward. So if you do a search for something, it's not going to take as long for you to find Smark Out Moment or whatever. So if you just do a search for Saturday Night's Main Event results, more of a chance that you can actually get that pop up first for you. Helps us out quite a bit too, And if you are listening to us on YouTube, then hit the like button and subscribe and ring your little notification bell and get your email alert set up for when we do the post show immediately following Saturday Night's Main Event, which could end at 10. Although last time around, I double checked, they actually went longer. So I don't know if it's going to end at 10 or if it's going to end at 10:30 or whatever. It's listed right now on Peacock as a 2-hour event. So I'm kind of assuming it's going to be 2 hours, but then again, they've been wrong about that before. We'll do a review and break everything down. That's the usual kind of suspects when we got going there. Keep in mind too, if you want to help us out on the monetary side of things, you've got a little spare change. You can click the thanks button. You can join these super chats during that live discussion, or you can hit up the Patreon or the YouTube channel membership. If you want to pick up merchandise, Redbubble and TeePublic is where you can find it. And of course, we need to start getting into the card itself, which is not a complicated card. It's only got 4 matches on it right now. There's a chance that they could add something more, but I kind of get the feeling that they're probably not going to. And the weird thing about this card is it's going to apparently open with John Cena's retirement match against Gunther. And then we've got 3 NXT showcase matches. And those are Bayley against Ruca, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defending the World Tag Team titles against Javon Evans and Leon Slater, whereas Wade Barrett called them Javon Evans and Leon Slater. So I don't think he watches NXT. And Cody Rhodes against Femi, based off of the result of what happened on NXT Deadline, since on SmackDown, Cody had said the winner of Femi versus Ricky Saints would go up against him, and Femi won back that NXT championship. So we've got, the undisputed WWE champion against the NXT champion, the ruler of NXT. And the possibility of them including some other stuff, it seems like it's just sort of a hit or miss guess of, if they do announce something, it'll probably be on SmackDown. But they also now added a 2-hour pre-show to this, which is completely unnecessary. Yeah. It's 6 o'clock. It's going to start the pre-show. And we'll have another 2 hours of complete nonsense that very clearly they must get paid to do, just like, watch content hours, even if it's not things that people watch, or they get paid enough money to put some graphic up on the screen or, some advertisement things. This doesn't seem like it's ever going away. So even something like a Saturday Night's Main Event is going to start getting them going forward, which sucks.
Whoa, let's be clear here. They're not going to do this for every Saturday Night's Main Event. This is John Cena's last match.
I don't know. I could see them doing it going forward.
I don't see them doing 2 hours for every show. This is a special occasion. For all the hyperbole WWE gives for a lot of things, John Cena's been a big deal for them, and him doing his final match is a pretty big deal, which is why a lot of the build to it is shocking.
Do you think we should just start off with this Cena thing, or do you think we should toss around the NXT ones first. What do you guys think? Is like any kind of like this might lead into that? Because I don't think so necessarily. I think this is going to be very awkwardly produced, and I don't think it's going to go over well.
I mean, they're starting with Cena, so we can start with Cena.
See, one of my fears about this is I feel like it's a you can't win scenario where right. You start with Cena, and I get the intention of if we don't start with Cena, everybody's going to be waiting for the Cena match anyway, and I mean that's kind of the whole point of the main event. But if you end it with Cena losing, you kind of just end it on a down note. And if you end it with Cena winning, then you run the risk of people complaining, and it'll be the same as if you open it with it anyway. But I don't know where you go with the NXT things, because if you start with Cena and Gunther, no matter what the outcome is, there is a very good chance that the people that are watching it just turn it off after that. And they're going to know, the Peacock people and the whoever runs, crunches the numbers and figures all that kind of stuff. They're going to see that, and they're going to end up being upset that the people don't want to tune in to watch the NXT guys and girls, girl, there's only one of them right now. And I think that that's going to potentially reflect negatively on them, yet they didn't do anything to really build them up. We had a quick backstage thing with Ricky Saints and Femi where it's just Cody saying the winner's going to fight me, and then Oba's in the crowd and that they just show him for a split second. That doesn't get people interested. If you're a casual, you don't know who Javon Evans is. You don't know who Sol Ruca is. You have no idea who Leon Slater is unless you watch TNA on top of that. And I don't want that to be one of those things where they go, yeah, okay, actually we shouldn't push these people because they must not care. They're not moving the needle. Most people are going to tune into this to watch the John Cena match. And also, how do you end the John Cena show with anything other than John Cena without it feeling kind of awkward?
Because John Cena is going to say, thank you. Now stick around for the next generation. Whether it lands for the home viewer or not, who's to say? But the entire purpose is for John to be able to say, I don't want you to think about me. My time is up. Their time is now.
Also, he will be there at the end of the show because he'll probably raise the hand of the winner of the Femi and Cody Rhodes match, which you assume would be the main event.
It realistically should, based off of this card, because it would be very strange if they end with the other two matches.
So he'll probably be out there to, either raise their hand or to just, give them a bit of a rub of just him being out there for the final time. I think a big reason why they're probably going with this match first is both the reason that Rob said, and also because they probably don't want to end up with another Goldberg situation where you start a retirement speech or some other ending part of it and it gets cut off at the end because of the viewership thing. At least if they do it early, it means that this match goes on for however long it ends up going for, and then Cena has all the time he needs to, because they'll just cut time off the match if they need to.
And they don't have the same situation as the Goldberg one because they're not being broadcast on NBC. So they can go realistically not, however long that they want to, but they could stretch it an extra 15 minutes if they needed to. And I don't know about the venue time or any of that kind of stuff, of course, but it's not going to be cut off because it's 9:59. We got to cut it off because it's 10 o'clock thing. But I just don't know about the execution behind that, because we've never seen something like this before that I can think of, where there's very clearly one match that is superseding everything else, and then not something else that is built up afterward. Because there's been times where, Brock Lesnar started a card, but you've also had the other world title in the main event, or you've had the women's world title in the main event, or, it's something that is a main event. And yeah, for me, Cody Rhodes versus Femi, yeah, of course, they're two of my more favorite people on the roster right now. And, it's got the main champion against one of the other main champions. But for the casuals, like, I gotta ask around and I gotta see in these next couple days if I can, like, if anybody is going to be like,
right.
You know,
but I think
the guys that they're at like the building that don't watch NXT and stuff, I'm going to try to get their opinion and be like, so are you going to just turn it off afterward or what? You know?
And granted, people turning it off is a huge risk, but the hope is that they don't, and then they're introduced to how much fun it is to watch Femi run through people or watch Javon Evans be Javon
bouncy.
Evans. You know, like, they're doing the best they can, and if you believe John Cena's recent interview with Chris Van Vliet, this is the one request he's made for the entire tour, was doing the NXT showcases. And I genuinely think, because this is what John said about it. He said, my fear of doing the John Cena show is you either do too much or not enough. So why not start it off and then hopefully have people stick around to see the next generation, because you should give them a spotlight, because theoretically this is going to exceed the normal wrestling audience.
I like the intention. I just don't. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of faith that it's not going to have its own problems and stuff. Which, yeah, like he says, you could do too much or you could do too little. I think this is going to be on the too little side more than anything else. But then again, depending on how grandiose things are, I mean, we don't know if this is going to be a 60-minute match for all we know, or this could end up being a total squash. And I highly doubt that's going to be the case for either of those, but
I think John Cena meant it on Unreal when he said, you'd have to try really hard to fuck up $4.99 with page 500. And I just think he's satisfied with what he's done and isn't too worried about the actual ending, because the whole year was the actual ending. And that's not me saying that I agree with that, obviously. But I think that's how they see it.
I mean, we are going to be criticizing mostly the whole John Cena retirement tour not being as well as it could have been. But it is something that they did better in some ways than they've done with plenty other retirements. Like, you know, this is not the worst that they've done. It's not the biggest, you know, hey, it's not the worst. So that means we should pat them on the back for it. But like, there have been plenty other retirements.
It wasn't great either.
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like it was good, but like, they at least had a title reign, a breaking thing, the Grand Slam title thing, some big matches. They just happened to miss out on actually making a solid story for 75% of it. And, you know, botching the heel turn and missing out on a lot of matches that they could have done. And, you know,
I'd say, like, again, it's just from my perspective, as someone who doesn't watch that closely anymore, I would say relative to the star power or the name value of the person that is retiring, it's the worst retirement in wrestling history.
I think I can definitely make an argument for worst. For me, because let's talk about it from this perspective. For Callum and I, whether Callum watches this event or not, for Callum and I, this is the guy who, you know, was a huge part of wrestling for our entire formative years of life. You know, like, John Cena is as big as it gets with as little hyperbole needed. He was the face of this company for 20 years. And it is shocking how little fanfare there is to the final match. There's no promo with the guy he's going up against. It's just literally, hey, congratulations, you get to face me in my last match.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I think is a real major flaw with this, is that they didn't bother to do anything. And they could have even just done like a pre-tape thing with Cena. And it still would have been better than what they did.
I I have a lot of thoughts, and I made the joke, which I don't know how much of a joke it was, about my fandom also being gone with uh, John Cena's career, but I really have been struggling to, watch a full show through. These shows haven't been great. I think they pissed away a lot of goodwill with the fans, and yeah, a lot of my friends have told me, and Callum will no doubt repeat this as well. They don't care because people keep showing up, they keep spending money, so they're winning. Why would they care? But for me, this does really feel like, okay, you had a layup here and you tried really hard to fuck it up. Like you tried really hard to just do anything to make it not the easy ride it should have been. When you ask John Cena what was the plan for The Rock and Travis Scott, and his answer is literally, "Who cares? It doesn't matter."
Mm. We're going to be talking about that at the end of the year awards for sure.
It was literally just for a moment. Like, that's a lot of this is so the antithesis of what John Cena was for the company. And I think that's the part that I'm having the most trouble with. Like, John Cena was the full-time guy. The way John Cena came in was, he's a rookie getting a big break. And that's not even really what you have with the NXT showcase matches, because it's not like you're taking, complete unknowns. In fact, you're probably taking Ruca's had like title shots on main roster TV. Javon Evans just wrestled Gunther. Femi, I do believe this is his first like main roster outing.
I think so.
And I think a lot's riding on that in general, but I don't know. Like I was telling you privately yesterday, I have so much to say about this, and yet I feel like there's nothing new to say, so I struggle with what to say.
One of the other things that I'm worried about with this card, and this is going to just basically bury the lead for me as far as my predictions go, I don't think that they've set up the right scenario for the NXT people to look good, or for them to be able to not win the matches and have this go over well. Because I think, and we're going to break each one down, but I think that the lineup is going to be Cena Gunther, the tag title match, Bayley Ruca, and then Rhodes and Femi. And I assume more than anything, the tag titles aren't changing hands. So you'll go from John Cena
on the line.
I was gonna say, are they on the line? I don't think they're on the line.
I assumed that they were.
No, it's an
that's your fault. That's your fault. You assumed that they were.
It's my fault that the champions that want to be fighting champions and have the belts on the graphic are defending the titles.
Well, it's a non-title match. It's listed on the website as a non-title match.
The last time I had checked, they didn't even have anything up because they never update anything. So I was going by just what they had put up on Raw, which was like, and they're going to be fighting them. And it's like, okay, well, the website last time I had checked didn't even have the Cody Rhodes and Femi graphic.
No, it's there. It's there.
They just happened to do it. They got to wait like...
No, you got to click on the ones that are there and then scroll through.
Yeah, they didn't have that scroll option when I looked at it yesterday. It was only the Ruca and Bayley one until like 3 a.m. or whatever the last time I checked. So, yeah, it doesn't say on the graphic that it's for the tag titles. You're right. So that slightly changes that around. Well, then that drastically changes it around then. Going into this, I was like, all right, well, the tag team titles aren't going to change hands. So you're going to start off and go, here's the next generation, and they immediately lose. That would suck.
Well, John Cena also lost.
No, actually, read the thing. It says World Tag Team Champions AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Javon Evans and Leon Slater at Saturday night's main event. World Tag Team Champions will put their title on the line against two of the hottest prospects who will leave as the champions.
It is for the titles. Cool.
So
listed everywhere else as like not for the titles.
Because see, this is why you get into these mistakes, because people just are assuming it's not, and then they're not reading. If Tony didn't tell us to read, I would have just assumed that it wasn't.
right. Because for some reason, the graphics department doesn't want to put the title thing on the graphics. The website says that it is. They implied it by announcing it before a tag title defense, which already defeated the purpose of the War Raiders match, because it was like, okay, well, if they're going to do that, then clearly they're going to beat the War Raiders. And then, it's like, the hand's not talking to the other hand kind of scenario. But then that goes back to what I was saying before then. It sucks to have like, okay, this is the next generation, and then Styles and Dragon Lee beat them as the next match. And if you go with Bayley and Sol Ruca, then I'm assuming Sol Ruca probably wins. But I also assume Cody Rhodes is going to beat Oba Femi, and I don't like that idea. And if you end the night with, hey, Cena won or lost, depending on what it is, and then the tag champs beat the NXT people, and then Cody beats Oba, and the only real takeaway is, look at these NXT people. Sol Ruca's good. I don't think that's going to go over well. I think it's going to be one of those shows where people are like, well, that sucked. And that just stains the whole thing.
So you ran through that, so I'll run through it as well. I think the key takeaways from the Javon Slater tag team match is going to be, hey, these kids can flip, and at least the direct line to AJ Styles' style of wrestling is in good hands, and I think that'll be a fantastic match.
Yeah, we'll get into the specifics. Yeah,
I think Bayley could end up beating Sol Ruca, depending on what kind of stories we tell on NXT tonight regarding her injuries and whatever. But Sol Ruca is an easy talent to spotlight. You guys know how strongly I feel about her. The one takeaway I have here is Oba Femi's got to smash Cody Rhodes. He's got to run through Cody. Like, not run through, like, not competitive at all, but like Brock Rock SummerSlam 2002, where it's like, Oba Femi's here, and this is your next big thing. And I do think Oba Femi's beating Cody Rhodes.
I don't. I know very definitively. Why make him the NXT World Champion again? Because that means he beats Cody Rhodes. Then what? Because he's just going to be back in NXT defending the title and losing it to either Javon Evans or Tony D'Angelo. So, like, if you have him beat Cody Rhodes, then he should be beating Cody Rhodes, then winning the Royal Rumble, then fighting Cody Rhodes for the title at WrestleMania, probably. And that's not going to happen. Because Cody's fighting Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, probably. So, what you're going to do is you're going to make Oba Femi look as good as possible, have him get some good near falls on Cody, and Cody's going to sell well for him. And then just we go back to when Kurt Angle faced John Cena in John Cena's debut match. He's going to make the kid look as good as possible, and then he's going to beat him. And at the end of the day, that's what should happen. Because you shouldn't have, even in a shock situation, you really shouldn't have the NXT champion beat your world champion. Because I think it sends a wrong message. Maybe occasionally you could do that sort of thing, but I think that it really, I don't know. I don't think it does the job that people expect it to do, of making it seem like, the young generation just as good as the top ones. No, it basically just paints that, why are all these people in NXT then if they can beat our top guys? They should just be not be there anymore, or they should be on the main roster. So yeah, I think that Cody will win, but he'll do a good job of making Oba Femi look as good as possible in the process. It seems like the right opponent and the right sort of style for Cody to work off of, like a big guy that Cody can play the baby face to. Yeah, so, but as I don't have a huge amount of conviction that Cody's going to lose that match. I think that they'll just go with the safer route. They'll have Ruca win, and that'll be your like big like
The only NXT win.
Yeah, your big NXT win will be Ruca coming through and beating Bayley because Bayley's expendable.
So let's talk about that, because we're going to break down each one of these in more detail, but we might as well talk about the Bayley and Ruca. That ultimately, as much as people are going to go, why are you crapping on the women's division? That's not what we're doing here, but this is the match that has the least going for it. It's not the titular retirement match. It's not for the tag titles, and it's not for the main event between the two top champions. It's just quite literally an expendable person who is, in her own right. Bayley is a legend, future Hall of Famer type, but she's not in the same position as what she used to be. And even at her peak, she was not some like unbeatable person or whatever. And Ruca is fantastic. Ruca is one of the top people that they should have even months ago considered bringing up to the main roster. Ruca beating Bayley, it means more than if she doesn't, but it really doesn't matter. Because Bayley loses to anybody. Bayley, can lose on a Monday Night Raw to Raquel Rodriguez or Roxanne Perez or to Maxine Dupree or whoever it might be. So they're going to make a big deal out of this and pretend like this is one of those scenarios where, like they're doing with Natty right now. It's like, for 10 years, you've not given a shit about Natty. But then she calls herself the low-key legend, and you're like, oh yeah, remember how amazing she is and how much she's like a 30-time champion in the making or whatever. And you're like, well, no, she isn't. Hold on. You guys don't care. And you didn't give her the belt most of those times. And when you did, it wasn't a really big deal. And then they're like, yeah, but, wow. Maxine's, getting trained by her. And you're like, yeah, and she'll probably lose because Natty fucking loses all the time. So, like, Bayley and Ruca, whichever of Bayley's personalities that she doesn't even shift between anymore, is just going to lose to Ruca. She'll put her over. They'll have a good enough match. But I don't think that's going to be the type of thing where people go, man, I came out of watching that Saturday night's main event, and I got to tell you, that Ruca and Bayley match, run that back. That's going to be the thing that I'm going to has my takeaway of everything. People will probably like it because it'll probably be good. And if Ruca does what she normally does, she'll impress. But I don't think any more than when she had the tag team title match against Bliss and Flair.
Right.
Less
that's
viewers.
My personal issue is that she's already had this level of an opportunity. And I think that goes against the actual structure of the show. But if no one's seen the Soul Snatcher, they'll pop for it. It's a really cool move.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said she's got a really cool offense. And this is the easiest one to predict an NXT winner, and she should win. But much like Callum was saying with Femi possibly winning, Ruca should also just then be on the main roster.
And I mean,
yeah, but she's the one that's she has an opening. I mean, she doesn't hold any title in NXT. She's probably going to do the feud with Zarya and then move up, so she's more primed to go up to the main roster rather than someone you've just crowned as the promotion's champion. So yeah, she could win this and then just immediately go up. They've already done things with her, like having fighting for the tag titles, whatever. This one will be different in the respect that she'll probably win, and so it does make her. Even if Bayley is now more in the mix rather than like the champion that she once was, or held in the same regard in that respect, I think that still beating her does give some level of credibility to Ruca, and then her as okay, this is someone to look out for, especially if she does do a lot of cool stuff, if Bayley sells for her well, or if Bayley just lets her get as much of her offense in as she possibly can and then hits the Soul Snatcher and wins, then it does feel like, okay, this is someone that we need to keep an eye on. And she'll appear in the Rumble, and she'll probably be on the main roster by post-WrestleMania next year. So I think that this one, it makes a lot of sense to do this.
they had a couple different options of where they could have gone with the women's division, and I kind of assumed when they announced this, I was like, all right, we're probably getting one women's match, but I also thought that there was a chance that it could be like a 6-woman tag or, you know, a tag team match or some kind of, you know, let's throw multiple people in there rather than just a one-on-one. But it really did come down to only a few. If it wasn't going to be Sol Ruca, then the only other ones that I would have thought stood a chance to be in this spotlight would have been Blake Monroe, maybe Fatal Influence, maybe Jordan Grace or Kalani Jordan or Lola. But like, they weren't going to give that to Tyra May Steele. They weren't going to give that to Ariana Grace or Carmen Petrovic or Skylar Ray's not going to go from LFG to one match on NXT and then get that spotlight. Not even Tatum Paxley, I don't think, would do that. So I wouldn't have booked Bayley versus Sol Ruca, to be honest. I would have probably had either Blake Monroe against somebody or maybe Sol Ruca against somebody else. Maybe like Ruca against I'm looking at the roster right now, at least as far as like Raw and SmackDown are concerned. You can't do anything too crazy. Like, you can't have like Sol Ruca against Jade Cargill for the championship or something. And nobody would care if it was like Blake Monroe defends against B-Fab. You know, nobody's gonna give a shit about that. But like I don't know, maybe I would have tried to do something with Sol Ruca going up against Becky Lynch more than Bayley, or Blake Monroe defending against Rhea Ripley. I think would have made a bigger splash or something.
But they would lose those matches.
Maybe, yeah.
They would, yeah.
I mean, and the context that you're saying with Blake in particular, that's more like she would be the champion making a call out.
Well, she's also got an open challenge tonight on NXT. And they don't normally do that, but especially it doesn't seem like that fits with Blake Monroe's character. I mean, and Ava, of course, made a whole point about being like, an open challenge means that anybody can answer that challenge. There's a chance that they do something that works into this in some way. Like maybe it's Sol Ruca or maybe it's Bayley. If it's Bayley, I think it's a mistake for anybody that's curious about that. And I put this up for like an EWN article earlier today, but like, I don't see a scenario where Blake defends against Bayley and then that works out well, and then that leads to the Sol Ruca thing, the way that Sol Ruca would want to have a future title shot against Blake and try to get a title bout or anything. I don't think that that's the right way to go, and I think more than likely it's probably just going to be like Jada Parker or somebody. But
well, Jada Parker, I just looked because I was wondering where she is. She hasn't done anything since
she
October.
last wrestled on TV in October, but she's had 2 matches on live events in November.
So I'm guessing that means maybe injury, and maybe she could come back in a big way. But another name I want to say, you could have thrown Bayley against Kendall Gray. I think it would have been a more legitimate shot like John Cena, Kurt Angle. And it's something that I think the main roster hasn't been exposed to yet, which would just be like Kendall Gray, while new, is sound enough to have a good match with Bayley. And hey, look at the next generation of people.
I think it's quite funny because it's one of those things that it's obvious how it happens. Is that last time I heard like Kendall Gray get discussed on here, obviously I hadn't watched much of her, and then Tony said, I don't really see what the big deal is about her. And then I watched some of the clips of her in the Iron Spy Challenge, and she's the best woman on that roster.
Damn right.
She is the best wrestler in that roster by a considerable amount, I'd say.
See? I know how to pick it.
I'll reiterate this point again when we get to the end of the year awards. She is a contender for me as both biggest upgrade and most overrated. Because I'm like, she is way...
Tony, this is Daniel. This is your Daniel Bryan again. This is Daniel Bryan.
It could very well be, and
it very much is.
We'll see.
She's so good.
we'll see how time, treats that, because there's been instances where it seemed like people were going to do great and then they didn't. But
but the discussion we're having now is exactly why this spot should have gone to Kendall, because we already know how good Sol Ruca is, and that's, I think, there's a weird side conversation to have about like why the John Cena thing can't be a one-to-one replication, because NXT now is its own brand, whereas OVW was literally like, you're
nobody
on
knew.
TV in Kentucky, but you're going to be introduced to the world here. So it's hard to recreate that.
It's a different thing, because like the Kendall Grove thing is like now she's clearly getting positioned to at least challenge for the NXT Championship, and so like there's a pathway to her. She's the Evolve champion, so that would be, because then you can't have her beat someone like a Bayley, because that's just too much for a step up for her. Whereas like Sol Ruca, that's like it makes perfect sense, because that is an immediate leap up for her. Yes, she's already has had some notoriety and appeared on like a main roster TV, but she hasn't had that big win yet. And this is the step up for her to get that victory over someone who is like credible and has been around for a long time and has won world championships, but can comfortably take the loss. As like, it is not like someone like she's not facing someone like Natalia or even like a Lyra Valkyria, who's like obviously won stuff but is less established. Like, she's going to beat someone who is a multi-time world champion. So I think she's the perfect choice, because she is someone who they clearly have designs on getting onto the main roster and being a big name once she gets up there. So I don't think that there's anyone right now in NXT that's as set up as Sol Ruca is to get in that role. Because I still even think that like names that you'd feel like are surefire things like Blake Monroe or Jordan Grace, they don't feel as obvious they're going to be pushed and going to be treated as a star on the main roster as Sol Ruca is.
Especially not Jordan Grace.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is insane, and another argument to be had at a later time, but like they really are just doing this roundabout thing of like, fuck Jordan Grace.
Yeah, again, we're going to talk about that at the end of the year awards, about being like, how did that go in that direction?
But Sol Ruca ticks all the boxes. She's like, I mean, the one thing she doesn't really tick is the promo ability stuff, but that's something that you can learn over time. But like, she's tall, she's very athletic, she's blonde, she's good looking, she's like, she does a lot of flippy moves, and she has a really like gifable finisher. Mm-hmm. She's basically everything. She ticks all the boxes that what you were looking for in a modern day WWE wrestler.
And realistically, even the mic work stuff, compare her to most of the men and women, but most of the women division as well. There aren't really that many great talkers in the women's division. And, statistically, even when you look at the men's division, if you crunch the numbers, it's probably relatively the same. There just happens to be more men, so some of them will stand out more. But even a good talker like an LA Knight still botches a lot. And I don't think putting Sol Ruca in a microphone position opposite Raquel Rodriguez or Bayley, for that matter, or an Ivy Nile or whoever, she's not going to stand out as being like bad on the mic. She's just as good as any of the other ones. There's just like maybe 5 women that would be like better than her, and that's not saying too much. I just kind of feel like this is one of those things where it's like, on paper, this makes sense, and it's not the worst option, but I feel like there could be something better. And I hope that they don't make the mistake of having Bayley win, because I do think that would be a mistake. I don't see any value in Bayley winning. So I'm going to go Sol Ruca. I think all 3 of us are predicting Sol Ruca.
Yeah, I'll go Sol Ruca.
Yeah, I'll say Sol Ruca will win.
And there's no chance at all Evans and Slater win those tag titles. But they aren't there to win the tag titles. They're there, I'm assuming, to be the match that follows Cena and Gunther, and for them to just be like, how crazy is Javon Evans and how how much fun are we having watching this wrestling match? And I do expect all three of these matches to be good. I expect this to be potentially the show stealer because Styles is great. Lee's a lot of fun. Slater has proven himself to be somebody to watch out for. And Evans is arguably one of the absolute most entertaining people on the roster. So they're going to kill it.
I made the argument that Evans could have won the whole tournament and had fun with John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
And this is right up his alley of, everybody's going to flip and this is going to be fun. This is going to be the match where if they were to do a gimmick, let's say, of John Cena loses his match and then decides, and I'm going to sit on commentary because I'm a fan and I'm going to watch the rest of these matches.
They might.
This is the match where John Cena goes, look at how fucking great the next generation is. They look at why I need to retire because I can't keep up with this.
That wouldn't be a bad idea for him to be on the commentary team for the rest of the show. And then that would even lead into the, raise the people's hands thing. I could see that being the case. And this, I think, has to come after Cena Gunther. Because it's going to have to be something that, like, I don't know how, again, that's another thing that comes with their, like, if they don't want people to tune away and turn the screen off when they're, done with the Cena Gunther thing, they're going to need to not have 15 minutes worth of bullshit, too. Because if it ends up being Cena loses or wins and cuts a promo or, whatever they do, and then they go, let's show you the progressive slam of the week, and then let's have a commercial where Roxanne is showing somebody that their tickets got upgraded, and then we, do a video package about something, and then, hey, remember everybody that on January 6th, it's going to be Braun Breaker versus CM Punk, and then they go, and now we need to also have a Cricket Wireless thing. People are going to be like, oh my God, I'm fucking done with this, and they just shut it off. And then by the time Styles and Lee and Evans and Slater even come out, nobody's going to be watching the show anymore. So I kind of want them to be like, let's just roll into at least the next match, and then you can take your little commercial breaks, and maybe these four can be like so damn entertaining that people go, shit, if that's the rest of the show, I'm going to stick around and watch. I feel like they're fighting a losing battle here, though. I don't think that the vast majority of people are going to keep watching the show, but these four have a shot. If they don't set them up poorly, they've got a shot in like making these people stick around, because I think that these guys are going to have a lot of fun. And there's no way the tag titles change hands. If it was, two NXT people, maybe. But you're not going to give the tag titles to the Iron Survivor Challenge winner, who's going to fight for the title at New Year's Evil, and the TNA's X Division champion. It's not happening.
Well, first of all, I think that the match itself will be a lot of fun, given the names involved, and obviously it's big for Leon Slater because he talks about how he wants to fight AJ Styles, and that's like his dream opponent, so he gets to get that wish. But the first thing I wanted to bring up was like a small detail, which is that Leon Slater was supposed to be booked for a WXW show before, which would have taken place, I think, on the same weekend as this show, and he obviously got pulled from that to be on this instead, which I find is a little bit weird, considering the fact that, that's an obligation that he's done as a semi-independent. Obviously he's contracted with TNA, but that allows him to do that stuff. But it's not TNA that have pulled him off of this, it's WWE, when he doesn't work for WWE.
Yeah, that was a little strange.
Yeah, as maybe contact tampering would be a bit harsh of a term, but like I think it fits in the ballpark of that sort of thing. But then again, he's probably going to end up working with WWE soon anyway. So, but then we look more into. Let's say it's a good showcase for them. It's in terms of like people sticking around. Like I think maybe you're underestimating how many people stick around. I think you're underestimating how many extra people are going to be around to watch the John Cena match and then carry on. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of extra people watching that wouldn't be already. I think it's just going to be your primarily hardcore WWE fans that will just watch that and then watch the rest of the show as well.
I hope so, but I know a lot of people that, like, I could point to probably about like 7 friends of mine that will at least be in the discussion of like, I'm busy that night, or I don't know if I really want to watch this at all based off of the way that WWE's been, but I'll watch the John Cena thing. And most of them have not watched any NXT. So I could see this being a thing where, like, yeah, I'll shoot them a message and ask. Maybe they might actually be able to get back to me by the time that we're done with this or something. But I'll just be like, hey, you know, Brett, Dane, whatever. Like, are you guys actually watching the NXT part of this or not? And we'll see.
I'd say, like, as someone who doesn't have Peacock and has no ability to subscribe to Peacock, I don't know how big the subscription base is in it and how many people who don't watch WWE regularly would just tune in for the John Cena match and then carry on. It's like, so I'd say we'll wait and see. But yeah, I mean, this match, as I said, should be fun because of the people involved, and it's a good opportunity for see, you know, they'll make a big deal out of the Leon Slater and AJ Styles thing. I think this is a good choice to go on after the match, both because of the exciting nature and also because what I anticipate will happen is that John Cena will cut a little promo and speech at the end of it and he plays music as he comes out, and then the person that meets him on the entrance stage will be AJ Styles. And AJ's music will play and he'll shake John Cena's hand and hug him and then raise his hand as John Cena walks to the back, probably. And that'll be the transition point. Like,
he beats up John Cena one more time.
Yeah, maybe he threatens to beat up John Cena. Yeah, but yeah, I think that makes the most sense because he's now the next like vanguard of the older people that are still wrestling, because like he'll be retiring next year, at least by his assertion. So he's probably the next one down the line.
I mean, similar Jericho, right? You would think.
Oh, Jericho never retire. So,
I mean, maybe they have like the whole roster come out and do the whole, like, you know, everybody standing on the stage thing. Maybe they do a video package thing. Maybe they do some kind of post-match promo. Maybe Cena doesn't even want to cut a promo as well. Like, Goldberg saying goodbye is Goldberg's priority, but like maybe Cena just ends up, you know, shaking Gunther's hand or whatever, and then leaving. I don't know. He's kind of strange sometimes, where you can see that, like, even a character that's like as you know, verbose and everything as John Cena is, sometimes is like kind of shy.
Maybe,
what do you think the whole transition is going to be, Rob, between these two things? Did we lose Rob again? Are we having another issue?
I don't know.
The
I can't hear him if that's what he's saying.
Man, this is not going well with yeah, if we have any kind of production issues and they have any production issues or anything.
I think Discord's just having a moment today. It's bad time.
Rob says that he's talking. I'm not hearing anything.
Nah, I think maybe disconnect and reconnect for Rob, because we were the two that fell out. So
Okay.
Yeah, now we can hear him.
So very, very strange Discord. Maybe Discord thinks that if it stops us from recording this, John Cena won't retire.
So how do you think the transition is going to be between Cena's match and whatever comes next?
I would feel cheated if he doesn't speak. Right? I would feel a little cheated if he doesn't speak. However, I'm going to go ahead and say the transition is that Stephanie McMahon, who's co-hosting with Joe Tess, is going to say, right, congratulations, you're the second member of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2026. And then,
that could very well happen.
And then we'll clap. Well, maybe we get the John Cena AJ Styles interaction, because I think that makes sense. But I think that's what's happening.
One more RKO for the road.
that would cause me more than anything.
We're not moving on until we get the the Trump and or Vince McMahon appearance.
Okay, I mean, like we have to talk about that as well, because that's another theory as to why it's going on so early.
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Was
You
I'm
know?
nervous that the reason why they're doing that is because Trump will be there and he can only be there for the beginning. It's not going to stick around for the whole thing if they do that. If they fucking do that, I will go live during that. And I will just rip shit to shreds and probably not watch it anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do at that point. Because that will reach the edge of I can't stand this disgusting shit anymore. I'll be mad at Cena. Even if it's not his call, I'll be like, no, you should have said no. You know, I will. No. That could very well be the last podcast of Smack Talk. It could be the thing that kills the end of the year awards even. Like, I wouldn't want to do that if they have that disgusting, horrible stain on the human race in this.
I mean,
Which one are you talking about when you say that?
well, that's,
Yes.
see, the funny thing is I think they feel more comfortable having Trump on than they do Vince. Because I think Vince is so directly tied to the company, and the company wants to move away from that they don't mind being like, hey, look, the president's here, who's also in the Hall of Fame. Hell, Trump could announce that Cena's going in the Hall of Fame, for all the fuck we know. But I would be surprised if Vince isn't in the building. I would be surprised if Trump isn't shown on TV.
I really cannot express enough how much I hope I don't see either of those.
See, I'm more confident that Vince would be in the building and not as confident that they'll show him on TV, but I'm more confident that if Trump is in the building, he will get shown on TV.
Oh, if he's there, he's going to get shown. He's not going to be there and not get shown. The guy's ego is too big. And even putting aside the whole morality and politics, you know, for the dumbasses that sit there and go, you shouldn't bring politics into everything. And like, how come you can't just agree to disagree with people that are actually trying to make your life a living hell and trying to, you know, act like human beings aren't human beings and all the other kind of things that people try to do when they try to, you know, I don't have my issues with the liberals. And it's like, yeah, because there's no fucking reason to be a problem with them. Even if you set aside that whole thing, this is about John Cena. This should not be about anybody else. It shouldn't be, hey, let's, even if this was a Democratic president, if fucking Harris was winning this, let's put it this way. If Harris was not cheated out of it and, you know, if she had been certified with the way that she supposedly won, it shouldn't be about her either. It should be about John Cena. If somebody like a McMahon or a Trump shows up, that completely negates the whole thing, and it just becomes that's the talking point. I think
Trump would show up at all is because he has a pre-existing relationship with WWE. This isn't about getting the president on the show. This is about the fact that the president happens to have a pre-existing relationship with the company. Like, I don't think Kamala would be offered this. I don't think Obama, I mean, they had that fake Obama impersonator a couple times. But, you know, I don't think anybody but Trump would get this because he's Trump.
Right. But he also gets, you know, fake awards, you know, and gold-plated shit handed to him because he's a fucking baby. And, you know.
You don't believe in FIFA giving out world peace? I mean, like...
There's a gold something that he should get, and it doesn't have the 007 number carved into it. That's all I'll say. If you've watched that movie, you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that element anymore. I'm all fired up. I'm like,
really hot for that golden third nipple.
We watched that the other day, by the way, Caroline and I, because I was like, that was one of the ones that she would find funny, and there was plenty of these like what the fuck type moments, you know. So far, nobody's gotten back to me, by the way, about the are they watching the show or not? Probably because it's 4 o'clock.
I think the match will be great. Like, I think Gunther versus John Cena will be a lot of fun.
So let's talk about that, and then we'll finish up with the Cody and Femi thing. Obviously, the whole thing's revolving around John Cena's final match. That is the main event, despite coming on first. You know, what a bunch of curtain jerkers these two are. This has to go one of two ways, in my mind. Either Cena loses by tapping out, giving up, whatever, or Cena overcomes the odds and hits the attitude adjustment and wins. I absolutely don't want to see Gunther pin John Cena, and I don't think that Gunther should tap out. Now, I don't think Gunther should have tapped out to Jey Uso earlier this year, which is a far bigger problem because there was no reason whatsoever, and I'll talk about this again on the end of the year awards. It's one of the biggest mistakes that they made this entire year. That was so fucking stupid. Gunther tapping out to Jey Uso. If Cena makes Gunther tap out, okay, but I would rather go pinfall if Cena wins. It's one of the two. I keep going back and forth between them because I could see the argument for both, and I could see the argument against both. If you say you have to go out losing, well, then Cena should lose, just by default. But it's also kind of depressing to end that way. But then you say, well, then we got the NXT things, and that'll just soften the blow. How many people are going to want to watch John Cena do the John Cena thing, though? And just, in a world that has that disgusting piece of shit in charge of, the government and all that right now, where they are constantly trying to diminish everybody in every possible way, even if you voted for this guy, you're losing. I kind of don't want another fucking depressing, the guy that says never give up lost, and you should just accept that everything sucks and roll over and die. Granted, I'm the type of person that's been like, past bunch of years has sucked, and I don't like living in this dystopian hellhole. So the more that you tell me that things suck and I should just give up and, put a bullet in my brain, the more that I'm potentially going to, and I don't want that to be the case. John Cena losing is not going to make me do that, but it's like, man, you get hit enough with a lot of this stuff, and it's very demoralizing. And
this is the real dark cast.
Yeah. I don't know if, the company that puts smiles on people's faces should necessarily have Mr. Never Give Up and retire and just be like, slink away, and I guess I suck and I lose, and you should just give up, kids. I'm kind of rooting for John Cena to win.
Hasn't that been what he's done for the last 5 years of his career? You just lose matches.
Yeah, so I kind of want him to just win this one.
Well, Gunther is making the only story in this match is Gunther saying, boy, you're going to give up. I'm going to make you give up.
So he can't win by pinfall.
He could, and I think it'd be fine. But they're setting you up for the rear naked choke, John Cena passes out finish. The issue here, which is why I didn't want Gunther in the spot to begin with, is what Tony is describing. If Cena wins, there's going to be a contingent of people who just go, well, that's kind of lame. Now Gunther looks dumb because he couldn't beat John Cena.
Super Cena wins, you can't put somebody over on the way out.
Right. If he loses, I don't know how many people feel like Tony, but there will be a few people who are just like, man, this is lame. Now I feel sad, and I don't want to watch the NXT thing.
Right. And then that'll make the whole, well, this year sucked with John Cena. The heel turn went nowhere, and this whatever, then it ends with John Cena just losing.
and I had to watch him, get jobbed out to Lesnar. And there's going to be some people who feel like that. Granted, there's going to be a lot of people who will just watch anyway because that's what WWE fans do. And maybe that's the logical reality we need to be speaking to here. But there is something to be said for, man, it is going to kind of feel like a bummer when Superman, goes out on a shield.
Yeah, I think that the most logical outcome is Gunther tries to do everything possible to take Cena, force Cena to tap out, put him in Boston Crabs, put him in chokes, anything possible to make Cena give up, and Cena just won't. He'll just refuse to give up until either he passes out to the sleeper, and then it's like, okay, then he can give up technically, but his body just couldn't take anymore. Or Gunther just gets so frustrated that he then just hits a load of power bombs and pins Cena in the ring, and then it's like, okay, in a way, Cena got a moral victory because Gunther tried to get him to tap out and he just wouldn't do it, so he just had to pin him in the end.
I'm more than okay with that ending. I think, like, as long as the match built up to it, the ending is Gunther takes Cena's last breath, basically, as far as his wrestling career. And I think that's the way they're going to go. If Cena were to win, I wouldn't hate it. It's just, okay, cool. We went with smiles on faces at the very end. But I don't think John wants to go for that. Quite frankly, like, I think if you believe everything the man says in his interviews, he's very much like, bro, I'm good. I'm done. It's theirs now.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, it's one of those things where, and again, maybe this is just me talking, but it's a case of, if this is where they draw the line and say Cena has to win it, after they had him job to Dominic Mysterio and Brock Lesnar and other people on the way here, it's like, but Gunther's where you draw the line. It's like, no, Gunther should beat him, and then you can tell a story with Gunther of he's the retirement guy. He retired Goldberg, he retired John Cena, he's probably going to retire AJ Styles.
Yeah, he just like goes right up to AJ Styles. It's just like, I could smell it on you.
Yeah.
Smell that, bitch?
Or like, Styles says that he's going to be retiring over the course of the next year or whatever. And you just have like multiple backstage segments over the course of the year where Gunther just walks by and he's just like, more than likely Gunther wins. And, at the end of the day, that's my prediction, is that Gunther probably will win. But I find it hard to trust that they're going to do a pinfall that I think would justify doing a pinfall. And I do feel like they are playing with matches when it comes to just making this depressing if John Cena gives up. And, retirements don't necessarily always have to go the exact same way. Guy loses and says, all right, I lost my last match and now I'm done. I think you can win your retirement match in certain scenarios. And if Cena wins, I'm going to be happy about that more than annoyed.
We saw Sting win his retirement match. And, I mean, he was much older than John and did a great job at it. I just think
Taker won his last match.
Right. I think that John's probably so dead set on going out on his back that he's going to go out on his back.
Probably.
Yeah, because also, like with The Undertaker and Sting in particular, those are guys that were still very much protected going into their retirement matches. Were barely losing any matches, if at all. Whereas Cena, as I've noted, loses pretty much on command, so...
It really does feel like, for as much as Cena's vocabulary and his manner of speaking can make him come across, disingenuous or just give you a side eye, I genuinely believe that he thinks and believes everything he says. Like, he is just like, I don't care. I'll do whatever they tell me. If they told him to lose to Doink, like, he'd be losing to Doink.
Tell you what, that'd be a hell of a podcast. Fucking Doink the Clown comes out and beats John Cena. I'd be like, I don't know what the fuck to title this one.
They told him, hey, you're gonna slip on a banana cream pie. That's what he's doing. Like,
spot of the year.
But I just hope that the match is solid, and he's had a few solid ones on the way out the door. Whether they were all smoke and mirrors or whatever, he's had a few solid ones out on the way out the door, and I hope Gunther gives him one more because, again, like I mentioned before, this is actually a giant deal. You didn't know when it was going to be Austin's last match when he wrestled The Rock. You didn't know for sure it was Shawn Michaels' last match. You can assume, but you didn't go into that knowing, okay, there's no way in hell that Shawn Michaels doesn't beat The Undertaker, because they could have very much done that. Because at the time, wrestlers just continued to wrestle. But John, this is it. This is it, and it has to be something special because we're closing the book on something special. And I just hope that this match lives up to what this guy has actually meant for not even wrestling, but specifically this company. Like, so much of what modern WWE is just John. And it's crazy to think, like, this is an entire chapter closing,
Oh, of course, the way that they do this is going to influence the rest of the show. And we talked about some of the NXT things, but the way that you end the show also is a great way of, determining whether people walk out of this positive or negative. And even though that's not going to have anything to do with John Cena specifically, or at least it doesn't seem like it will, if it's Cody against Femi, they could have, Cena come out and raise somebody's hand, or, they could do any of those kind of things, but it doesn't seem like that would do anything that would like offset Cena winning or losing. The Cody and Femi thing, another damned if you do, damned if you don't type of scenario, I think, because Femi is fucking great. Like, legitimately one of my favorite people that's on any roster for WWE or AEW. I think it was Rob earlier in this podcast that said, like, he's a next big thing type of guy. And he's good on the mic. He's got presence. He's put on a lot of great matches with a lot of people and is young and, in a spot where he's protected pretty damn well. He's only lost to 2 people. And I mean, he's 27 years old and he's had the record North American Championship reign and not a record NXT title reign, but like a damn long one. I want Femi to win, but I don't think that he will. And with the size difference between Oba and Cody, and just the idea that, like, I don't know where you go with any of this. I agree that if Femi wins, he should realistically just be on the main roster. So why put the NXT championship back on him? There must be for a reason. And even though some things don't influence some things, and, I mentioned like Blake Monroe's North American title match tonight could be an open challenge where maybe Bayley gets involved and blah, 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 blah. It could very well not be. It probably won't be. They put the NXT champion and the NXT challenger on SmackDown and had Cody say, the winner of that match fights me. It's either the dominant dude that I have no interaction with whatsoever, or it's my close buddy. And they put the title back on Femi. That can't be, in my mind, I could be wrong, but I can't see that being, we got to put the title back on Obafemi because we need to have Obafemi be the one that's fighting Cody. Because if that's the case, you didn't need to have the backstage segment where Cody said the winner of that match fights me. Because he could have very easily just not had that segment and they not announce anything, and it could have just been on Monday Night Raw or whatever, they announce Obafemi is going to fight Cody Rhodes. There didn't need to be that whoever wins that title fights me thing. So they chose to say that ahead of time, knowing, of course, that they were going to have Obafemi win that. And he's got this thing with Javon Evans coming up on New Year's Evil. Tony D'Angelo attacks Javon Evans, which makes me then think either Tony D'Angelo is the guy that Evans fights over the course of the next few episodes leading up to that, and that's just going to be a feud afterward, or he's going to be the reason why Javon Evans loses for like the 5th time. And I really don't like the idea of that. But they could have put the title back on Obafemi to lose it to Javon because they know how over Javon is, and it'll mean more if Javon beats Obafemi than if he beats Ricky Saints. I don't know. Maybe Obafemi is on the main roster in the next couple months, and maybe he's not holding the NXT championship in the middle of 2026. Maybe he beats Cody here, and it becomes one of those, like, watch out for him things. Maybe he's in the Royal Rumble. Maybe he's dropped the title since then. I got a feeling this is going to end with Obafemi beats the crap out of Cody, despite the fact that he should be a tweener or babyface who's just going up against him. They're going to book him as the heel. And then Cody is going to eventually get some kind of like roll up win. And it's going to be like, wow, damn, Obafemi really had that match won, but the veteran instincts of Cody, he got one over and he just barely survived. And Oba will be like, hey, next time I'm going to get your ass, kind of a thing. And I feel like that's a weak way to end this if they do in that. But I also don't want to see Obafemi just take 3 crossroads and get pinned clean. Nor do I want, by no fucking measure, fucking Drew McIntyre comes out and hits Cody Rhodes and Obafemi wins by some DQ interference kind of nonsense, or it's a brawl and it's a draw and some kind of shenanigan. I don't want any of that kind of crap either.
And I know you guys don't think I'm right, but I'm going Obafemi wins. This is the best chance you have to be like, hey, Oba wins. The next generation is here. Oba can lose to another guy on the show, Javon, and then just be in the Royal Rumble and just keep rolling. I think Oba should win. I wouldn't be surprised if Cody does, but I think it should be Obafemi wins, and you have John Cena shake his hand or something to say, you're the guy.
Yeah, I just can't. I realistically can't see Cody losing this match. I think you can do a lot by still having Obafemi look dominant and get some good moves in on Cody, but still fall short for now. But it sets in motion, like if he comes close to be in Cody now, you can just tell the story of like he'll be on the main roster soon, and then in a year or two's time, where these two will fight again, or like in a few months' time, even these two will fight again, and then we'll see who comes out on top once he's got a bit more experience and Cody's a little older and all this stuff as well. So I just don't think it sends a great message of having unless you are very definitively planning, which it just doesn't seem like it's the case, unless you're very definitively planning on having Obafemi either beat or challenge, at the very least challenge, if not beat Cody Rhodes for the World Championship very soon, then I don't think it serves any purpose of having him beat Cody here.
For that matter, I hope if Gunther wins, I hope it's Gunther Cody at Mania and not Roman. Because if you have Gunther retire John Cena and you've got nothing for him, that's going to be so stupid.
My hope is just that Gunther's retiring Brock. I would like to see Brock wrap it up as well, but I'm not entirely sold that that's the way it's going to go.
I mean, I could see them having that match, but I don't think it'll be Brock's retirement. But even that, like, I don't think Gunther retiring John Cena and then just having a match against Brock is the best way either. I would like to see the, Gunther is the guy that beats Cody thing. Oh, now I'm getting some responses, by the way, from, let's see, two of my friends have responded. I'm going to watch it all, but to be fair, I stayed watching NXT too. I stayed. I don't know, typing wrong. But that same person is going to be watching it on a delay. So they're not going to be paying attention to the show until afterward. And Dane says, I'm interested in John Cena sitting on his ass in the middle of the ring, beginning to shed tears while the fans give him his flowers. Not really an answer to the question, Dane, but okay.
I mean, he's interested in seeing the John Cena portion at least.
Yeah. And then another friend of mine's officiating a wedding and isn't sure if he'll be back in time. So, even John Cena's retirement is not necessarily being like, when you get older, you got priorities. But,
it's a pretty selfish bride and groom. Don't they know what's happening?
Come on. So prediction wise, I'm going to say, unfortunately, I think Cody's winning.
I'm going to say Oba wins. I got nothing to lose by predicting Oba winning.
Yeah, I would say Cody wins.
And what's our prediction about like the last thing on the show? Is it just Cena holds up Cody's hand or Oba Femi's hand, or Cena comes back out and says, thank you for being out here? Or does it end with Stephanie McMahon? Or does it end with suddenly Braun Breaker comes out and spears somebody or whatever?
It'll be like Stephanie and Triple H probably holding both of John Cena's arms aloft on the stage as they bow out
as
to win
the
the show.
The spirit of Vince McMahon looks down on us all.
The spirit of Vince McMahon. They sacrifice him.
He'd be looking up.
Yeah. I could still see a scenario where maybe they end it with like the roster coming out and like doing like a thank you John thing or something at the end. It wouldn't shock me if that's how they end it, but I think it'll be weird if they just end it with like Cody Rhodes beats or loses to Oba Femi, and then it's just kind of like, well, that's Saturday night's main event. See you later, everybody. Remember to tune into Raw.
The reason I think they should get the Cena stuff out of the way is because it's going to be very weird if they go, hey, that was Cena's last match, but stick around.
Because in an hour.
And address everybody. Like, that's kind of weird, but that's why I mentioned the idea of, like, if you're going to have him around, then have him on commentary.
Yeah.
It would just be weird otherwise to be like, he's done, but he's coming back.
We're going to find out on Saturday at 8 o'clock because you don't need to tune in at 6 o'clock because those 2 hours will be completely pointless. And if they make this the 2-hour show that they say that it's going to be on Peacock, actually, I should double check because if they change things, maybe they would add an extra hour to it or whatever. The last time I checked, it said it was a 2-hour show. The post show is going to end, whenever it ends. But it is listed as, 8 p.m. start time, which is not the countdown start time. So either the countdown is not going to be on Peacock or they haven't updated that yet. And it is just listed as 2 hours. But the last one was 3. So you can't trust anybody to do their jobs anymore unless it's smarkmo.com. So, we got another response. They're not interested at all. Gunther is over. He's not new. Cena's a Mount Rushmore guy. I'm interested in whatever happens after the 3 count.
Also an interesting take.
That's it's another one to rope into there. Unless he taps out for a guy that, quote, never gives up.
See, somebody wants to tap out.
That's Dane, for anybody that's curious. So, the post show will happen, whether it's at 10 o'clock or 11 or whenever they decide to end the show. I do think that there is a good chance that this ends up being a 3-hour show instead of a 2-hour one, especially because the John Cena thing will probably take up the bulk of an hour. And then those 3 other matches, with all the commercial breaks and stuff that they're probably going to do, I could see this being a 3-hour show. But the post show immediately following will be the case. Of course, we have some other episodes of some different things in the meantime. We're going to be doing the hot tags on Friday and talking about any last minute adjustments to this kind of stuff, but also whatever else is going. I actually don't have any hot tags written down yet for this week. Kind of double check that ahead of time and stuff. But if you do want to show your support on all the things, you know what to do, and make sure that you also stay tuned to everything else that you can find on the link tree at amangotree.com for all of my stuff. Smark Out Moment, Fanboys Anonymous, and myself related. And then, of course, follow Rob and Callum.
Yep, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Fleece and check out Callum.
You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky Weekmeister14. Check out the power rankings every Saturday on smarkoutmoment.com, where I rank the WWE superstars based on their previous week's performances, and then check out the Fantasy League, also at wwefantasyleague.com, to see how our rosters are doing, especially because there's some big points up for grabs, potentially, at Saturday night's main event. So follow along to see how that show affects our standings.
And naturally, when we've got everything else going on throughout the week, the other TV stuff, NXT, we got Winter Is Coming on Dynamite, and SmackDown will be after the hot tags. But still, if they do end up announcing anything else for this show, then you will see updates on smarkmo.com. And I want you to tune in during the show and check out the live coverage and check out the post show and all that stuff. So hopefully it's not a crash out moment. Hopefully it's something that we could be very positive about, but we'll see. And thank you for leaving your comments below or whatever else it is that you did on that front too. And we will see you next time. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we are being counted out.